It is Friday, February 28th, the final day of the fine month of February, the month of love. We have Valentine's Day, my birthday. Cam had a birthday, Black History Month. What a great month February is, and it's on to March when the blossoms bloom, right? The weather turns, daylight savings time. Let's see if I can get this right. Daylight savings time ends?
Yes.
Because we're on it right now?
Yes, I believe so.
End daylight saving time forever, please. But a week from Sunday, those clocks jump forward, and we get more daylight. Or I guess we shift the daylight later in the day.
Yeah, which again makes more sense to begin with. It's called daylight for a reason, not morning light.
Morning light? It's daylight. Evening light. I'd rather it be called evening light.
Exactly.
But we had to finally have a little football to talk about because the NFL Combine on-field workouts started yesterday, and there was some movers and shakers, some dudes that were flying, some kids that I thought made it, helped their draft stock a ton. James Pierce being one of them, the fastest 40 time of all the defensive linemen.
Yeah, he was flying.
And it's kind of a funny topic, or I guess narrative to follow, because going into this last college football season, James Pierce was viewed as potentially the number one overall pick. And now there's several mock drafts that don't even have him in the first round. Like CBS Sports mock draft I just looked at did not even have him going on day one. What a bizarre fall, because I studied his tape. It was really good. Now, he only plays half the time, but that's always been the case. But his film is super impressive. One of the best pass rushers in the country. And he's apparently his stock had fallen out of the first round. Then he pops a 4.4. I'd say that stock's rising back up.
I like it. It's funny because I'm watching the replay of all the 40s yesterday, and all of a sudden he pops up, and I'm like, damn, I totally forgot he was a part of this class just because he had so much hype surrounding him.
Oh, dude, all year long. I called him a lock top 5 pick because he was, one, I'm watching the film, it tracks, like it looks like it, and two, I was told by the NFL media he was potentially the number one overall pick. So he's definitely a top 5 pick. Now who knows? But a 4.4 40 should help. So we're going to talk about the Combine. What went down? There's also some potential player movements. Deebo Samuel might not be on the Niners next year.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually, the 49ers are not the favorite to retain Deebo Samuel. There's another team that is the lead horse in the race for Deebo. You got knocked the fuck out. It's coming, but how the hell are you, Pat, on this Freaky Friday?
I'm doing good. It's nice. We're at the end of our first almost full week. Again, I guess we didn't really go live Monday, but we'll call it first semi-full week of Pound Town. You know what? I like where we're heading with this. It's nice that we finally have some Combine stuff to talk about. It's just been a lot of interview process all week. Now we're finally able to, divulge into what the players are doing on the field. And obviously throughout the weekend, more and more guys will go. And so Monday and Tuesday show next week, especially, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be great. This is our show every morning, 9 a.m. And then as always, tune in at noon for Menace to Sports with Chris and I. And Pat's there too, but Chris and I do the show. Really excited for the growth. It is up to you to help us, though. I need you to like this video. That's all you got to do. Just click that like. We're aiming to get a record number of likes. What was it? What did I tell you our record was, Pat?
I think it was 130 on the first one.
130 likes on the first episode. Let's try to beat that. All you got to do is like the video. If you're watching on Twitter, hit that retweet button so that other people can enjoy an hour of, I don't know, it's good sports takes, I think, but at least a little comedy and at least something to listen to that's not some of these horrendously fucking terrible sports media people that you kind of get forced to listen to because they're on the radio or they're on ESPN. That's our whole goal here. Let's get this thing going. Lukey, let them know what time it is, Bubba. It is. They need to level up.
I think we have some freaks in Menace Army.
I'm okay with that. Go watch the fucking film. But I appreciate you for riding with us, Menace Army. Menace out.
Menace Army! Let's get to the show!
And we're back.
Before we get to the show, I just my iPad, I hit the wrong button and it accidentally switched back to Twitter. And Antonio Brown's the best follow on Twitter. There's none better. And he tweeted a screenshot of a text conversation, and one person was saying to the other, like, imagine if you fucked a magician and he nuts in you and you freak out. And then he says, "Psych, bitch, check your ear."
AB is probably the funniest account on Twitter.
He's got to be. He's hilarious.
CTESPN at its finest.
Big time.
So I want to dive into, you mentioned in the intro, Deebo Samuel, his next team odds just dropped on some sports books. The 49ers have the second best odds to land Deebo at plus 300. The favorite, however, the Washington Commanders, plus 275. That is, an interesting move for them, considering the pieces they have. I think he would be an interesting fit alongside Terry over there. Yeah. Obviously, they're coming off an NFC Championship berth and the first year with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. I feel like the move for them right now is to go all in and get pieces. I know they've also been talked about in terms of the odds list for Myles Garrett. If the Browns were to trade him, the Commanders are within the top 5, I believe, in odds for Garrett as well. So they're looking to make a big splash now, and it makes sense. I mean, you got to capitalize with this window with Jaden Daniels on his rookie deal.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a ton of sense, right? They need weapons. I'm actually kind of shocked that the Browns aren't even on the list. I mean, you go down the list, it's Commanders, 49ers, Steelers, Chargers, Broncos, Ravens, Patriots, Panthers, Titans. No Browns? We don't need a receiver? It just – I can't imagine why they wouldn't be on the list. I mean, maybe they don't want to or have the money to go pay Deebo Samuel what he's going to attract, but you'd think they'd be on the list at plus 1,000.
Yeah. Well, they also, this is also what they would have to trade for him because Deebo requested a trade. So I don't know if they want to give up either draft capital or I don't even know if they have the players to make the deal right now. So it wouldn't make sense for them to trade.
Who would they trade?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want them to trade draft capital given the uncertainty surrounding the quarterback position. If this were a year ago, I think Deebo would have been a perfect fit. But
but to not even be on the list, I'm with you. I'm not saying it's the right move for the Browns, but to be plus 1,300.
But think about it. Every other team on this list. The Steelers definitely need a receiver outside of Pickens. I don't know if Pickens is that true wide receiver one. The Chargers definitely need help at receiver. Ladd McConkey's great, but he's not your alpha. The Broncos, again, Cortland Sutton, mid as a wide receiver one. The Ravens definitely need more help at receiver. Patriots have the young quarterback. They want to get him weapons. Panthers, same deal. And Titans, presuming they draft a quarterback at number 1. They need a lot of those teams are young quarterbacks with zero to little help outside. So it makes sense. I guess the Browns not knowing where they stand at quarterback is
but the Browns and the Titans are in the same situation, right? Probably going to go quarterback in this draft. Don't have anyone on the roster right now. I'm just saying, I'm surprised they aren't even just on the list. I'm not saying they should do it, but either way, I think imagine Deebo and Jaden Daniels. Yeah. You add in Terry McLaurin. Noah Brown contributed. Mm-hmm. It'll be a hell of a landing spot for the Commanders and a hell of a deal for Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely. And so the reason I brought this up, me, I'm a betting guy. The Commanders Super Bowl odds right now, Zach, they have the 8th or I think it's 8th or 9th best odds at plus 2,400. For a team that is coming off an NFC Championship game. They're already in the mix for these top-notch, whether trade candidates or free agents. I feel like they're going to make a splash given the fact that they have the rookie quarterback.
He's going to be in year 2.
He's going to be in year 2. He's hopefully going to take that step up. You hope he doesn't have a sophomore slump, but I'm looking at plus 2,400 for the Super Bowl. I'm going to have to sprinkle on the Commanders.
I don't hate it. Winning the Super Bowl is a lot harder than making it to the NFC Championship, and maybe they can put themselves over the edge. It's all going to come down to Jaden Daniels and what does he do in year 2? Is there some version of a plateau or sophomore slump, or does he just get better?
Yeah.
Now that he has a year of experience under his belt, we've seen it both ways in quarterback play after a pretty damn good, a really good rookie campaign. It'd be interesting to see what Jaden Daniels can do in year 2.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like CJ Stroud got hit with a little bit of the sophomore slump rumors just because he didn't put up the numbers that he did a year ago, but still led his team to the playoffs, still won a playoff game. I wouldn't label that a sophomore slump. I think Daniels, similar to Stroud in that sense. I think he has probably equal weapons right now. If they get Deebo, that'll probably set them up nicely. So
yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah. Another betting note I want to hit is NFL Coach of the Year odds have dropped, with Ben Johnson being the favorite at plus 800. Is that surprising for you, given the current state of the Chicago Bears?
I think, you look at it, a lot of these are new coaches, right?
Yeah.
It's Coach of the Year is an opportunity for a new coach to turn around a franchise. And if you look at the Bears on paper, just take away the name, the Bears. X team drafted a quarterback #1 overall last year. We're fucking abysmal, terrible. Hire a new coach. If he can get the quarterback to play like the #1 overall pick and have somewhat of a turnaround, be a hell of a candidate for coach of the year. Now, reinsert the name Chicago Bears. No fucking chance. Caleb Williams is terrible. We knew that before the draft. He's not going to get better next year. And the problem was never the coaching. I mean, well, the problem was partly the coaching, but the Bears have sucked forever. It's a Chicago Bears organization issue. Ben Johnson, Steve Johnson, Ricky Bobby, it doesn't matter who the coach is. Until they fix the organization, they're not going to have success. Mike Vrabel, I think, is a great option in New England. Drake May coming back, had a pretty solid rookie year, coming back for year 2. Vrabel gets to institute his Dan Campbell of the Northeast, and I like Vrabel there. There's a couple candidates on here I think have a real shot.
Yeah, a couple other guys. You mentioned Vrabel is the second best odds, tied with Liam Cohen at plus 1,000. Pete Carroll back in the game, plus
Sneaky
12,000.
Pete's back in the game.
Yeah.
You know what's so fucked up, Pat? When I looked at this list before the show, I almost made an ass of myself to you because I almost said, how the fuck did they not have Belichick on here? Just not even thinking, oh yeah, he's in college.
It's
like
college.
It's still so bizarre to me that I saw a list of NFL coaches. I know Belichick is back as a head coach. My mind couldn't even compute that he would not be on this list.
Yeah.
It's just
wild.
wild.
Hilarious. Yeah. Another name that I'm kind of looking at, we talked about him briefly yesterday, for the Saints, Kellen Moore. He's at plus 1,400. Given, hopefully a healthy offense for them. They have the weapons, Olave, Kamara. I love what Kellen Moore has done early on in his career as a coordinator. I think the Saints have the ability to surprise some people in a relatively weak NFC South. Obviously, Tampa Bay will be the favorite, but I think New Orleans could be a better team than Atlanta and Carolina next year. So that could be a sleeper for a playoff spot. And I think Kellen Moore some value at plus 1,400. Some other names: Aaron Glenn plus 1,700, Jonathan Gannon plus 1,900. And Jim Harbaugh plus 2,000 round out the top 10 for the Coach of the Year odds.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think it's all going to come down to the quarter for most of these teams. It's going to come down to the quarterback position. I mean, Ben Johnson ain't winning shit if Caleb Williams stinks. Mike Vrabel inherits Drake May. I mean, there's some coaches with decent quarterback situations. Kellen Moore's got an interesting one. Mm-hmm. Is Derek Carr washed, or can he be successful in New Orleans? Because we saw Spencer Rattler was fucking terrible when he played last year. And Harbaugh, I mean, Harbaugh's had success in the NFL. Can he get it done this year?
Yeah, I feel like it's hard for him to win it, considering I don't know. I feel like for a lot of these,
what's like, how dramatic is the improvement?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So they were pretty good last year.
Exactly. That's why I wouldn't really touch that. But yeah, there's some little betting nuggets for you. Zach, you want to hit it?
Where's Kevin Stefanski? I mean,
honestly, I was shocked that he wasn't on here.
Again, I know this show is kind of a Brown show, but like, they were just terrible. If he has a bounce back year and makes the playoffs, won't he be one of the top 5 candidate to win this award?
Oh, absolutely. I was shocked to not even see him on the top 10. And I wonder, maybe because he's already won it twice. I don't know if there's any sort of bias there, but
so wild to say out loud.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I think Stefanski's done a decent job, but Browns have been in the play. I mean, 2-time Coach of the Year. Yeah. And look at the Browns' success rate. It's just wild that he's won it twice.
No, exactly. But, again, given the fact that they were so abysmal last year, and kind of especially depending on what happens in this offseason, if guys are moved and whatnot, given the roster that he would be presented with, if for some reason he could turn them into a playoff team or a wild card team, absolutely he should be strongly in consideration, especially if it's either a rookie quarterback or, kind of you take a shot on a veteran like Sam Darnold or something. I think that could absolutely improve his odds.
Where is he? I'm on the list here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. I don't even see him on the list. Oh, there he is. He's like 25th plus 4,000. 25th best odds to win Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski.
Damn it, I'm mad you told me this. Now I got a sprinkle on it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like his odds are down there with successful coaches like Dan Campbell, Sean McDermott, John Harbaugh, Nick Sirianni, Andy Reid, guys that like had so much success last year. They can't possibly win it next year because it's like, well, they were already good.
Yeah.
That's how low Vegas thinks of Kevin Stefanski. It's literally him and all the best coaches in the NFL at plus 4,000 or worse odds.
Crazy. I mean, yeah, maybe they think he's going to get fired, so he won't even have the opportunity.
Probably. That's probably reality. All right, let's get a quick word, and then we'll come back and keep talk about the combine a little bit, and a bunch of other NFL topics. We'll be right back after this. I'm in a cool spot in my weight loss journey right now, my physical fitness level up as I hit my goal weight. Last Friday, I told you, I believe on the show, hit 195. That was my goal weight all along. I think I'm going to be able to get down to 190 now that I'm adding workouts in, which are all going to be on the website. But I want to shout out my coach, Jenna, at awaken180weightloss.com, because she introduced this new diet, the maintenance diet, where now I'm not trying to shed pounds. I'm not eating the Awaken 180 food. I'm eating food in the wild, real life food. And she's delivering a plan that has been incredible. Justine and I ate fantastic over this past weekend in Orlando, but I stuck to the plan, came home, weighed in today, 195 again. After a great weekend, I mean, having drinks, going out to eat. My coach at Awaken 180, Jenna, is incredible. She got me right, and I'm really excited to continue down this journey with them because they've really leveled up. I highly, highly encourage you to go to awaken180weightloss.com and just get a consultation. If you want to take control of your life, your energy will be through the roof. Your libido will be through the roof. You'll shed some pounds. I was at a pool all weekend feeling great. I just go check them out. Go do a consultation and see if it fits for you because it's an instant level up. So shout out to my team at Awaken 180.
And we're back.
I
want to throw this up here. Where is it? David, I have my doubts as Ben Johnson as a quarterback developer. I mean, I think he did a fine job with Jared Goff the last few years.
Yeah.
Kind of turned his career around. That being said, Caleb Williams is a much harder project to turn around given the fact that, I don't know, he had such an abysmal rookie year. So, I don't know how he's going to deal with Caleb Williams, but I wouldn't doubt him as a quarterback developer just based off his recent success. Yeah,
I mean, we'll see. I don't know that there's a quarterback developer out there that can develop Caleb Williams, mainly because Caleb Williams is such a flagrant ass. Like, he's such an overconfident, has such a large ego, and he's such a flamboyant pussy. Like, I don't know that there's a fix for that. Like, do you have, like, gender reassignment surgery to try to get him a set of nuts? I don't know. Like, how do you fix Caleb Williams? Literally give him testosterone shots, maybe some heroin. Like, how do you fix him? Meth him up a little bit?
Meth him up. Who knows? So we got a decent amount of Bengals fans that have been tuning in, and I want to bring this up. They have kind of a recipe for fucking disaster. Yeah, it could very much be that way. The Bengals are in the midst of kind of navigating contract talks with three of their biggest stars, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson. Currently, the Bengals have $58.1 million in cap space, which is the 8th highest in the NFL. T. Higgins was franchise tagged last year, is a candidate to play under the franchise tag again, which would net him $26.2 million for this year. And the downside is all of that goes against the cap if they were to sign him to an extension, which he's asking for $30 million. That would ease up on the cap depending on what the negotiation is. Chase is seeking north of $35 million, which is what Justin Jefferson is making, probably $40 million for him. And then Trey Hendrickson had the most sacks in the league last year with 17.5. He'll probably want to surpass Nick Bosa as the highest paid defensive end, and Bosa's making $34 million a year. So you're going to have potentially 3 guys, 4 with Joe Burrow, that are making $30 million plus a year.
Good luck. Like, how you paying everybody else? And like, the real hit here, and what they can't do is they can't franchise tag T. Higgins again, because if they can get him under a contract, they can find ways to pay him signing bonuses and keep the cap hit lower. Yeah. But if you franchise tag him, $26.2 million is direct hit on the cap space. They have 58.1.
Yeah.
That's half the cap space. Mm-hmm. Half of the cap space is going to go to T. Higgins. And that's why I think you see all the free agency odds and everything going against the Bengals re-signing T. Higgins. I don't know how you can do it. Like we've talked about it all week on the show. There's never in the history of the NFL been a quarterback and receiver combo that are both top 5 in salary in the league. Now you're going to add in T. Higgins, another, let's call it top 10 salary in the league.
That would be the 7th highest paid receiver if he gets $30 million, which is what he wants.
You're talking about the 7th highest paid and the highest paid in Jamar Chase, assuming he exceeds Justin Jefferson's contract. It's impossible. And now you're going to add a $35 million defensive end to the payroll. I mean, I think Trey Hendrickson is a phenomenal defensive end, and they should re-sign him. But T. Higgins is the one. If you're going to pay Jamar, you have to be okay with letting T. Higgins walk and go draft a receiver or do something to get another receiver piece on the cheap on a rookie contract. There's no way you can have all 4 of those: Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson, all in the top 10 or 5 salaries in the NFL at their position. You just can't.
No. And not to mention, it's just like, I don't know. I have a problem with this, considering this is kind of just their, running it back basically after they made a late season surge to get to the playoffs last year and fell just short. So I think they are still a fringe playoff team, but they clearly have issues in the secondary. They clearly have issues on the offensive line. It's just, I feel like those issues need to be addressed, especially when it comes to these wide receiver talks. Like, there's no sense in paying 2 guys at the top 7 in their position. When your offensive line has struggled and your secondary has struggled as well. So I just feel like that money is better spent elsewhere.
I just don't know how they can do it. I don't know. Like, has a team ever had success with those type of mega salaries? Ever? The answer is no.
No.
I mean, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. The only player $30+ million is Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, the previous Super Bowl. They don't have a single player over $30 million. Wow. It's like the Bengals are going to have 4. How are you going to sign offensive linemen? How are you going to pay all these other positions? It's a recipe for disaster, a formula for failure. I don't know why they would even consider this. They absolutely have to let T. Higgins walk and try to go get a receiver on a rookie deal or something.
Yeah.
Something else. They have to have another option. They can't have two $30+ million receivers. That's absolutely absurd.
T. Higgins, get ready to learn Cleveland Browns.
I'm here for it.
I want it. All right. So we had day 1 of the NFL Combine, the on-field workouts yesterday for the D linemen. And we had some guys really impress. I know we talked about in the intro, James Pierce Jr. He posted the fastest 40-yard dash time among defensive ends yesterday, 4.47, faster than A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, to name a few. And again, this guy was once a consensus number 1 overall pick for this draft and has since fallen off. You just mentioned today that he's fallen out of the first round in some mock drafts. I feel like the majority of them have him as a mid to late first rounder. Do you think he's a guy, given the injury news to Abdul Carter, the way he performed yesterday, do you think he can shoot back up, maybe back into the top 10?
I mean, I don't know why he's not still projected a first rounder. I mean, if you get him in the late first, what a steal that would be. Mm-hmm. So I think that, I mean, they had the top 6 40 times yesterday, and 5 of them were linebackers. And he had the second fastest 40 time of anyone. The one linebacker from UCLA ran a 4.46. He ran a 4.47. I mean, he was the fastest defensive end by a whole 10th of a second. Like, this kid is twitchy, freaky. He was not an every down player at Tennessee, and I think that's what's hurting him from being a top 10 pick. He literally played half the time. He rotated a ton, but that's just what Tennessee did. That's not to knock his talent. I think this kid is an absolute home run late first round, and I think he should be a mid first round pick.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I was looking at earlier today was a mid to late stuff. A lot of guys have him going in the 20s. I don't know. I'm just confused as to why the drop off. I get that, not playing every down, but in a sense, I feel like that means he's fresher than a lot of these other guys. I mean, I don't know how much that really matters on the defense side of the ball, but you've seen it. I mean, we've seen the Browns do it and maybe catch a little heat from doing it with Myles Garrett. I mean, they were quick to rotate him in and out. Myles Garrett, wasn't an every down DN for a long time, in part just because he had his struggles with the run. So I don't know. I would love, James Pierce, if he does fall out of that first round, the Browns at 33. I mean, there's no way that happens, right?
If it does happen, please God, take him. Please take him. I mean, he posted the best 10-yard time, the best 40-yard time. I mean, he's a freak. He's an absolute freak.
Yeah. Another guy who went off.
Did you see that? Did you see the defensive end from Arkansas? The dude with the shaved head.
Oh yeah.
He jumped over 40-inch vertical.
Insane. Dude.
Insane. And Shamar Stewart, the kid from A&M, he's a D tackle.
Yeah.
D tackle. Jumped 40 inches.
I was going to say, I have him, and he was one of the guys that I highlighted that just had a killer day yesterday. He ran a 4.5940, relative athletic score of 10. He became the fourth player in the last 20 years to reach 40 inches in the vertical jump at 260 plus.
Just
insane. And he led the participants yesterday, a 10-foot, 11-inch broad jump. Insane. He's another guy that I feel like is going to shoot up some draft boards right now. I mean, he's the highest I see him, and according to some mock drafts, Pro Football Network has him as going 12th overall to Dallas, 11th overall to San Fran, and another one. I mean, he's a guy that, again, if you're a team like the Browns and you're not sold now on Abdul Carter, given the recent injury news, why not trade back? They're gonna have some studs in that mid to late first round.
And this goes back to the conversation we've had. A number of NFL personnel people have said the meat and potatoes of this draft are it's a foundational draft. Like this draft, pick 15, I would even contend like 11 or 12, all the way to pick 50 are a bunch of guys who are going to start, who are going to be quality players. You're going to be happy you drafted them, and they're all similar, where you could get so much value in that second round this year specifically. And the player that I just have my eye on is Small Mondon Jr. from Georgia, the linebacker, because he's a little under the radar because of some of the Jalen Walkers, the Malachi Starks, some of the defenders that Georgia has coming out. But he jumped 10-10 in the broad jump, the second best broad jump of the day yesterday. 10-10 is ridiculous. And going back to my coaching background, broad jump was so much more important than vertical jump in evaluating just explosiveness. And a 10-10 broad jump for a linebacker is absolutely insane.
Yeah. He's Mondon's mocked right now. Last couple ones have shown him, the late first round in that 20-26 range. Another guy I thought had a good day yesterday, Derek Harmon.
Oh yeah,
D tackle from Oregon. He had a 4.9540 while weighing in at 313 pounds.
That's you go moving. You go sub 5 and over 300. You're moving.
Yeah,
you can move for your size.
And of course, scouts saw that and then started making the comparisons to Chris Jones. I don't know if we're a little too early on.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a reach there, but I think he's a really good player.
Yeah.
I mean, I think someone's going to get a really good player. I think he'll probably be a second round pick. He'll get a really good player. I do think it is of note that none of the Buckeyes tested yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, but again, we've talked about it on the main show for a while, given the fact that they had, the later, I guess, begin to the off season or the later end to the regular season. A lot of these guys wouldn't have the enough amount of time of preparation to really score well. So I think we'll see a lot of these guys going.
Well, and the other thing is they have the perfect excuse too, right? Yeah. It's like nobody really wants to test at the combine. It's just not a good look if you don't, especially if you're not like a lottery pick.
Yeah.
People are like, why isn't he working out then? Well, Ohio State has the perfect out because they played an extra month of football, over an extra 2 months for some of these kids. You think about the teams that didn't make the playoffs, right? And the players that are going to the draft. They got done playing in November. And when their team didn't make it, they opt out of the bowl game. You're talking about they had all December and January to train for the combine. Ohio State played until January 20th.
Yeah.
Like they had 2 extra months to train on all the Notre Dame and Ohio State players and other Texas is the teams that went deep in the playoffs. So it's definitely not surprising. I just thought there'd be I can't imagine not one Buckeye is going to do anything. I just can't imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, our questions will be answered by this
Sunday.
time on Monday. So
Yeah, there's no doubt.
We'll be discussing that plenty. But Zach, let's get another commercial break.
That sounds good. We still got to talk about a couple breakout candidates in this NFL draft. Like the video while we're here, trying to break a record, get over 100 likes. Help us out. Hit that like button. It's that simple. We'll be right back after this. All right, we talk about finances. We talk about physical fitness. I want to talk about security, cybersecurity to be exact, and our partners over at NordVPN. A VPN is a way to protect everything going on in your house, on your phone, from the outside world and hackers, right? NordVPN can do a number of things, right? It protects your private data like bank details, passwords, online identities. It's also the fastest VPN in the world. There's no buffering or lagging while streaming and stops your ISP bandwidth throttling. It's premium cybersecurity for the price of a cup of coffee per month. One NordVPN account can also be used for up to 10 devices. So to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/menace. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box. Go check it out. Protect your data, protect yourself, and you can move locations and watch whatever you want. And we're back, and we can't hear commercials in here, so I don't know what I was just talking about.
That was the VPN.
Well, there you go. Protect yourself. It's important. I have one.
Mm-hmm.
You should do it too.
Absolutely. So Zach, I want to ask you a couple questions about some potential breakout candidates throughout that to kind of monitor throughout this weekend as we get the skill position and the offensive players testing at the combine. A lot of people are viewing these guys as people that could, rise up the boards depending on how they perform this weekend. I kind of got one that I want to highlight from each position group. We'll start at tight end actually with your boy from Bowling Green, Harold Fannin. Obviously, took people by surprise this year. Had a crazy year. Him and Tyler Warren were, going neck and neck for tight end of the year. What are your thoughts on Fannin? Where do you think he will end up getting drafted?
Well, it's an interesting case because he played at Bowling Green, played in the MAC, a lot like Ashton Genty. The biggest difference is they went and played Penn State. He popped off. They went and played A&M. He popped off. Like he did it against, and I know Ashton Genty did against Oregon too, but he gave you 2 quality games against Power 5 opponents where he competed. He showed he belongs. And I think he's going to be an NFL, a really good NFL player. I'm not ready to say superstar or anything to that stretch, but I think he's got a real chance. And I don't know where do they have, probably 2nd round mocked right now?
Yeah, right now the consensus is a late 1st, early 2nd for him. It's funny how, I guess, just the nature of the position. But I mean, you have 2 guys, like you just mentioned, in Fannin and Genty, that are both Power 5 guys, really haven't been fully tested at the collegiate level. And one is being considered a top 10 pick at a position that I feel like is maybe less valued in the NFL than tight end.
Yeah. I mean, it's unless you're generation, I'm not going to say generational, unless you're one of the top 10 backs in the NFL. Like we've been, I mean, what do you mean? They had Zoom meetings about it. The running back position is just one of the most undervalued positions in the NFL. And I mean, for Harold Fannin Jr., yeah, he went to Bowling Green, but when they went and played on the road at Penn State, 11 catches, 137 yards, 1 touchdown. Then the next week they went on the road to A&M, 8 catches, 145 yards, and 1 touchdown. Like the production was there back-to-back weeks against NFL players.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just nature of the position. They just, Ashton Genty had such a ridiculous year in group of 5. But I mean, 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns for a tight end, even in the group of 5, is a ridiculous tight end year.
Yeah. I guess my thing is that in the last few years specifically, we've seen, tight ends be productive so much earlier than running backs. I mean, last year you had Brock Bowers set the rookie receiving record as a tight end. Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta the year before balled out. Trey McBride for Arizona. I mean, these guys were, McBride was a 2nd round pick, Laporta 2nd round pick, but Bowers and Kincaid were 1st rounds. I just feel like the way that tight ends are being utilized now in the NFL, I'm surprised. I'll be surprised if Fannin slips out of the 1st round. I think he's that much of a talent. Plus, I think he could test really well this weekend, and I think that'll be huge for his stock.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, we're still early in the process. He's still got plenty of time to push his draft stock up the board.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the second round, though. I mean, a Bowling Green tight end, considering it's a tight end and he's from Bowling Green, I could absolutely see that giving him a second round value.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, well, shit, Trey McBride, he was Colorado State.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, I guess, a good comp. And yeah, he went second round. So, all right, next guy I want to talk about from the wide receiver group is Tez Johnson. Because I feel like, I don't know, there's so many people that are making the claim that he could be this year's Xavier Worthy. Do you see that with him? Do you think he's going to make a rise this weekend?
I mean, that's my player comp for sure. I mean, he doesn't have the size, right? 5'10", 165. Like, this is Deshaun Jackson all over again. But he is electric and explosive. And I don't think he's a kid. He's a receiver that needs to, like Xavier Worthy, get in the right situation, get in the right fit. Like, you have Tank Dell in Houston, you have Xavier Worthy in Kansas City. Like, he's got to just be that role player, because it's 165 pounds. You're not going to be some durable, like, wide receiver one. It's just not going to happen.
No, you have to be that second or even third option in a prolific offense in order to be really successful. I do think that I'm curious to see what he runs this weekend in the 40. I think that'll be huge. And I think if he does end up posting probably that fastest time amongst wide receivers, that you're just going to see him shoot up these boards. Right now he's mocked. Where is he mocked? Right now he's primarily second round as of now. Some guys have him going in the first round, late 28, 29 to Detroit. I mean, shit, a team like Detroit, I mean, Tez could be a good fit there, kind of a wide open offense. Amon-Ra is their, safety net. And they have J-Mo as that deep threat, but kind of a guy that you can get the ball out for quick screens. I could see Tez Johnson being a fit for Detroit.
Yeah, I definitely could. I mean, just that electricity, he's the perfect receiver to go to a very well-established roster, where it's like, that would be a fun toy and weapon to add to our arsenal. I mean, if you go to NFL Draft Buzz, is a great website. If you guys haven't been there before, it's one of my favorite comprehensive kind of profile websites. And they have Tez Johnson. They have him listed as I guess they are predicting what he's going to be at the combine. 5'9", 156. They even have hand size. Like, how the fuck do they know what his hand size is? 8.5 inch hands. And then they have him projected as a 4'3", 640.
Okay, that's fast. I honestly, I was gonna guess that he would score, or that he would run faster than that. But
we'll see. I mean, he might. What the fuck do they know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm curious where they come up with those numbers. Kind of a running back I want to talk about that I feel like is getting overshadowed in this draft because of Ashton Genty, and a guy that we saw firsthand covering Big Ten, Caleb Johnson.
Yeah.
I think this is a big weekend for him in order to prove that shit. Don't sleep on me as like the number one back in this class. I'm curious where you sit on with Caleb Johnson as of now.
I mean, I think he's a really good player. I think he, again, going back to the running back conversation, like, maybe he's not a first rounder just because he plays running back, but if you just had a draft, I think he's a top 5 back in this class for sure. Probably he might be the number 2 back after Ashton Genty gets reached for. Now, in my opinion, I would draft him, Trey. There's maybe three or 4 backs that I would draft before Ashton Genty, but I know I'm in the minority on that. But I mean, he had a really productive year. You could talk about all the carries. He had 240 carries, 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 0 fumbles, but 6.4 yards a carry in a one-dimensional offense is a lot like Melvin Gordon when he was at Wisconsin, right? You looked at his stats compared to other players' stats. But even like Nicholas Singleton, similar, exact same yards per carry as Nicholas Singleton. The difference is Penn State had somewhat of a throw game, right? Iowa was so one-dimensional. I mean, look at Travion Henderson, had the second highest yards per carry in the entire in Power 5 football last year. But they also had a guy named Jeremiah Smith. Will Howard also threw the football. What Caleb Johnson did at Iowa with essentially a non-existent throw game, I think is super impressive.
And also, like the 2 guys you mentioned, Singleton and Trey, they also were splitting carries. So they were fresher, especially towards the back half of the year. Caleb Johnson was doing it all on his own. I mean, not splitting carries with anyone, literally was that entire offense. Personally, for me, and I know you're going to agree with me, but like, I'm just shocked that teams are so quick to label Genty as this top 15 pick when you got a guy like Caleb Johnson, who I think is the perfect size, 6 foot, 225 for an NFL back. Yeah, the workload is maybe a little concerning, but to put up those kind of numbers in that offense, to me, warrants a first round pick.
Yeah.
More so than what Genty did.
No, I agree. I mean, you look at he's fourth in Power 5 football last year in yards after contact. So breaking tackles, making guys miss. Trey, Damian Martinez are two that are ahead of him. And Ashton Genty, if you want to add him into it, I don't know, he wasn't a Power 5 back. He would have led the country in almost, I mean, he didn't average more yards per carry than Trey, but yards after contact, he had, I mean, damn near a yard more on average than anyone in Power 5 football because he was playing in the Mountain fucking West. Like, I think Ashton Genty is a good player. I think he's going to play in the NFL. I'm not saying he's going to be a complete bust, but we are overreaching in NFL media right now. Overreaching that this kid is some generational Maurice Jones-Drew, but with more burst and Marshall Faulk, and you're like, dog, quit just naming short running backs. Yeah, like that's so lazy. I think the kid is going to be just a good running back in the NFL. It's certainly not worthy of a top 15 pick.
And the last guy I want to get to, kind of everyone's, all eyes are going to be on this guy all weekend long. Jalen Milroe. How do you think he does this weekend? Do you think teams will fall in love with him? Do you see him being a potential first round pick in mock drafts after the conclusion of the combine?
Pat, I watched Anthony Richardson get drafted in the top 5. Like anything is possible.
Yeah.
When he pops a crazy 40, they see him in underwear. It's a meat market. The combine is a meat market. And if there's a genetic freak that is going to get NFL executives' dicks hard, it's Jalen Milroe. Now, will he throw it accurately? Probably not. And so they're going to have to do what they do. They're going to have to reach and say, oh, dude, just imagine with our coaching what this kid could become. Like, I will not be shocked, really, literally anywhere, when he gets drafted anywhere. If he gets drafted in the mid-first, in the first in general, drops to the third, nothing will shock me because he's the perfect player to get completely overreached for.
Now, given the fact that the Browns do need a quarterback, where would you feel comfortable taking him if you are the Browns?
I mean, I don't want them to. I mean, to me, if you draft Jalen Milroe in the where the Browns are drafting first or second round, you wasted a very, very valuable pick.
So you think even the second round, it's still a waste?
And then, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Considering team needs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, considering the team need as a quarterback, if their vision is that they can get a guy like Milroe in the second round, or even he probably won't even fall to the third round, but say it's mid to late second round. I feel like if their vision is to draft a guy like that and then sign a veteran, hoping that he can learn and develop in an NFL system for a year, is that worth it for you? Or no, you just think? I mean,
you'd have to have so much confidence that he could be your franchise. Think about what all we've talked about with the value that second round picks are this year specifically. You're going to blow that pick on a development project. I don't think the Browns are in any position to do anything like that. I mean, I think, and then even further to that, you start getting in the third and fourth round, I still wouldn't pick him. I just think they need too much.
Yeah, I agree. They need a lot, but I mean, third round, Jalen Milroe, with his freakish athletic ability, that alone warrants it, in my opinion. Now, I feel like a better question would be...
All right, well, tell me this. Do you think Jalen Milroe is going to be a good NFL quarterback?
Right now, no. But...
So why waste a draft pick when, at best, you're 50-50 that the kid can play in the NFL? You're wasting a draft pick that could be another piece to the puzzle that you're missing a bunch of pieces in. I just don't think the chance of a boom on Jalen Milroe warrants wasting a pick if you're the Browns, because you need so much.
Yeah.
Now, if you're another team that maybe has a better roster, slight need at quarterback, or you're going to have a need at quarterback in a couple years, I think the investment could be worth it there. But for the Browns, they just need so much. I think you're going to look at that draft pick in 4 years and go, we blew a third round pick on fucking a running back that plays quarterback. Why did we waste a pick?
mean, shit, I don't know. And now I'm falling into the draft silly season, but like we saw Lamar fall to the end of the first round, and we had all the questions surrounding him heading into the league. I know.
Okay. Lamar won the Heisman and had one of the most prolific college careers we've ever seen. I know your point.
Yeah.
Like in the third round, you're looking at it like that could be insane value, and it absolutely could. And if they pick him, I hope they're right and the fucker develops, and we look at that like what a steal in the third round. It could go either way. I just don't know if the Browns are in a situation to try it.
No, you're right. And honestly, I'm just getting this out now in preparation because I know I'm going to watch Jalen Milroe highlights all weekend long of him at the combine, and I'm going to talk myself into the fact that the Browns should draft him. Yep. So I needed to get this out now so that maybe, by you telling me this, I can kind of simmer those thoughts.
Let that fucker pop a sub 4.4 and look good throwing the ball. I'll be the first one on here like, fuck it, give me Jalen Milroe.
That's what I'm saying. I'm already anticipating that this is it's gonna come after this week.
It is. Well, yeah, we don't have super chats yet on this channel. That'll probably hit maybe late next week, where we can monetize it and start doing our super chat Fridays. But in the meantime, we're going to do a comment Friday. So comment your questions, whatever you want to talk about. We can still throw them on screen. We just don't have a super chat option right now. Yeah. So get those in. We're going to get a commercial break and finish this show out. We'll be right back after this. All right, Menace Army. We always try to level you up physically, financially, and this is a financial level up you got to take advantage of. It's called Kickoff with no C. It helps you build and improve credit. There's 3 factors in the way it does it. Your new account immediately diversifies your credit mix, so your debt to credit ratio is healthier and better, which should improve your credit. It also, every on-time monthly kickoff payment builds payment history, so you get that track record and that resume to improve that little number that everyone is so worried about. And then the last one, because your monthly payments are so small, your credit utilization, the amount of credit you're actually using, gets healthier immediately. It's a level up. I did it. Justine did it. If you want to improve your credit, it's the best way to do it. Building credit can happen faster than you'd expect with Kickoff. Don't wait. Get your first month for just $1 at getkickoff, KIKOFF.com/menace. That's getkickoff without the C. 80% off when you go to getkickoff.com/menace. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/menace to activate offer. Offer applies to new customers first month only, subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Point stat based on Equifax Vantage Score 3.0 changes for Kickoff users starting under 600 who made their first on-time payment between January 2021 and March 2024. Payment and credit activity outside of Kickoff can have an impact on your credit. Individual results may vary.
And we're back. All right. I want to talk to you about this, Zach, because this popped up on my timeline this morning. Something that I wasn't really aware of, but the Browns assistant GM, Catherine Hickman.
They have a woman assistant GM.
Yes. And again, I had no idea really much about her until this morning. A couple of videos popped up on my timeline. She was interviewed, and I want to play a couple clips for you here. The first one, she was asked about, how they evaluate the type of player and the person that comes into the Browns facility when they're, looking to add someone. So I'm going to play this for you.
Yeah, please do.
You get great people. The one thing you can't miss on the person. And those are things that we are very intentional and relentless when it comes to figuring out who these guys are both on and off the field.
One more Eagles connection here. Howie Roseman said yes.
Like, what? The first deal that was made after she got hired in 2022 as the assistant GM was to hire a serial sexual assaulter in Deshaun Watson. And what did she just say? Character and what they do off the field is one of the most important things?
Yes, she did.
Huh? Like, is she aware not only where she works, but what the Browns did? I mean, they literally brought in Kareem Hunt after he punched a chick. They brought in Deshaun Watson after 100 girls say he sexually assaulted him. Like, what?
Yeah. And to be fair, this is a common theme in the NFL amongst a lot of teams dealing with, players with, bad history, bad backgrounds. But yeah, to just come out there and say it like that, just optically, that everyone in the world is dunking on the Browns day in and day out because of the Watson contract, because of how shitty of a quarterback and person he presumably is. But there's another video that surfaced as well about her evaluation of quarterbacks in terms of this year's draft.
Oh, please, Catherine, educate me on how to evaluate a quarterback.
I'll go on field, and I could give you a non-negotiable off the field as well. So let's go on field. On field, really thinking through what kind of Rolodex of situations he's acquired over the years, what kind of experience he's had in terms of decision making, and again, situations he's seen. I think over the course of the year, that's something that, as I evaluated quarterback, I found to be very important in how you can project future success in performance. Not that it's a perfect science, but what kind of situation, decision making process they have been exposed to in college and for how long, I think is pretty important.
I mean, this is a Canadian woman that was in the CFL and then was an office manager for the Tampa Bay Vipers, whoever they are.
Must be a UFL or something.
I mean, I don't know why anyone is asking anyone from the Cleveland Browns about how to evaluate a quarterback. That would be like asking Paul Johnson, the triple option guru, Coach, how do you throw for 400 a game? He'd look at you and be like, dog, what? I don't know. Have you seen my offense? Like, why are we asking anyone from the Browns how to evaluate a quarterback? It's just incredible. And the fact that all she talked about was, what situations have they been in their Rolodex? Like, how about their arm strength? How about their arm talent? How about their football IQ? If all that checks out as elite, yeah, then I guess you could look at like what kind of experience, how was he in adverse situations and experiences? But like before that, does he have the talent to play in the NFL? That's first. What's his what's his intangible value? Like what's his leadership like? How smart is he? Before, like how was he in college in a 2-minute drill? Yeah, it's important. That's maybe like 14th on the list.
Yeah, and I get like not wanting to maybe expose your hand when talking about your eval of quarterbacks.
But is that exposing your hand, saying stuff like, well, he's got to have arm talent, he's got to have good timing,
no,
he's got to be an accurate thrower? Like everyone in the NFL is gonna be like, yeah, like you're not. It's not like giving the secret sauce.
Yeah, I was just
it just infuriates me that was one, that they asked anyone from the Browns organization, 2, that it was female, call me sexist, and 3, that was the answer. It's like, huh?
I was just gonna, like, optically, given the history of the Browns at the quarterback position, and just that answer was just so optically unappealing to watch, because it's like it makes you sit back. Now I know this is all, this is just for content to put out, but it's like as a fan, you're watching this and being like, wow, they have no idea what they're doing, like
None.
Absolutely zero clue, and it gives me zero faith that they're gonna make the right decision at quarterback heading into this year, given that all they're evaluating is what kind of situations this person's been in.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't get it. I'm so down on the Browns right now. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I need this draft to reinvigorate my fandom.
Absolutely. Let's get a couple comments up on screen. Emily, are you over Garrett and ready to trade him? I'm salty on him and happy to boot him, I think.
No, I mean, I think if they can get the right trade done, like if they can get what they should get for him, I'm okay with them trading him. But also, I'm okay with being like, hey, big guy, we gave you a contract, you signed it, go play. What's he not going to play well? He wants to leave at the end of his contract.
Yeah.
Unless you show him a product otherwise to keep him to stay. So he's gonna go out and give it his all.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this is not some cancer inside the locker room. I mean, you have the quote here. I think it's from Joel Bitonio.
Yeah.
He said, for me personally, I don't think his request is really going to impact Joel's decision. He said, I do understand he's frustrated. I think we were all frustrated last year. It was disappointing. We were all disappointed in the way that the season turned out. So I get that side of where Myles is coming from. Like the players know. They feel the same way. Just some of them, like Joel Bitonio, he's contemplating, do I play another year or just hang it up?
Yeah. And to answer your question, Emily, I'm not over Garrett and I'm not salty with his decision. Like the Browns have failed him now for the majority of his career. You made the playoffs with a good quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and you dealt him because of off the field issues with him and his relationship with Odell Beckham or whatever it was. You failed to realize that you had at least at the very minimum a serviceable quarterback that could make the playoffs, and we've seen him do it now the last 2 years.
Best quarterback since they came back to Cleveland, right?
Yeah. You haven't. You went and signed the worst free agent contract in professional sports history. Like, why? Like, I have no problem with him being upset. I'd be upset too. And I don't want to boot him again. I think if a team gave us an incredible value with the trade, absolutely take it because that'll help expedite a rebuild. But I'm with Zach. Like, yeah, just you're under contract.
And you also have 2 years, right? Show him a different product in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And I bet he changes his tune. And if you don't, he won't.
Yeah. They have 11 picks this year. It's like, it starts now. It starts with this time of the year. Make it a situation where he feels like, all right, shit, things are going in the right direction. If you fail with this draft, then you're cooked.
Cooked.
Throw another one up here. David, Zach, give me a comp for Cam Ward. I said David Gerard, at best, a serviceable NFL quarterback.
I think at best it's higher than that. I don't have a good comp for him. Maybe it's because he's a lefty. I just don't have a good comp for him. I'll have to think about that. Let me think about a great comp.
What was it? We were talking about, I think the one day, me and Chris, I think when you were traveling, Donovan McNabb was someone that came to mind, or it was him. Oh, shit, there was someone else. Now I'm blanking. But it's hard because I was going through current quarterbacks, and I couldn't really find one. Honestly, Caleb Williams came to mind, but it's like, shit, I'm doing Cam Ward a disservice by saying that.
Without the personality traits,
yeah,
Caleb Williams is a great comp. I see on that same NFL Draft Buzz has Bo Nix as a good comp, and I think that's pretty fair too.
Yeah, I like that as well.
I think Bo Nix is actually a really good comp.
I want to throw another one up here. Riley, ESPN, I know they suck, but an article just dropped saying Justin Fields to the Browns would be the most desired free agency signing for this team if they can make it happen. Curious if it could happen.
I think that's absolutely a great move because you're going to get him on set with such value. He's not going to be expensive. He showed, he played well for the Steelers, and come to find out, I don't know if he would ever got benched if they didn't have that clause in the trade that if he started more than X games, they had to give an additional pick to Chicago. Like, I think it's a great option.
I'm all for it. If they can do that, then with that number 2 pick, I'm flirting with the idea of taking our guy Will Campbell at number 2, kind of screwing over New England. Or if we trade for him, I'm dead set then on trading back from that number 2 spot. Accumulate as much draft capital. Surround Justin Fields with pieces. If you fall back to number 10 or 12, then you can get our guy Banks from Texas. You can get even Simmons or Jackson from Ohio State. If depending on how far back you go, but get pieces for the O-line. And then just surround him with weapons, either in free agency or late in the second round or third round.
Here's the beautiful thing. If he shows you promise and he plays well, you can keep investing in him. If he doesn't and he stinks, it's going to help you in next year's draft anyways.
Yeah.
If you draft Cam Ward at 2, you're not going to be a playoff team next year. This is not going to be a Jaden Daniels effect because they need so many pieces.
Yeah.
So I'm great with bring Justin Fields in. I think he's got a chance to be a really good quarterback. And if he is, what a steal. And if he's not, who cares?
Yeah.
You're just helping yourself in next year's draft.
Absolutely. It's kind of a win-win situation. And he showed me enough in 6 games with Pittsburgh last year to be like, damn, yeah, I think he needed to get out of a shitty situation in Chicago. And now, granted, you worry that the situation in Cleveland might just make him regress. But again, like I
think there's a real chance he could be the second best quarterback the Browns have had since they came back in '99. Like, there's a chance.
Yeah, I would love it. But Zach, it's a good show, good week. You want to get us out of here?
Yeah, we'll be back every day next week, live at 9 a.m. If you could like the video, we're trying to set a record on our episodes today, on today's episode. Like the video before you get out of here. We appreciate you, Menace Army. Menace out.